Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more latest news. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So there is lots to negotiate on this video today as usual, but just going to give you some additional information in regards to Nemanja Matic. Now it has been coming out with the media in the last couple of days saying that reportedly Juventus are interested in signing Nemanja Matic on a free transfer next summer. Nemanja Matic's current deal at Manchester United does expire at the end of the season, but there is an option to extend his contract by a further year. I think Nemanja Matic now is in his third season as a Manchester United player. He has made around 89 appearances for the club in all competitions. 66 of those appearances, of course, have come in the Premier League, and I do believe Manchester United did pay around £40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. Obviously, this was under the Jose Mourinho era, but Juventus did good business, throughout the course of the summer, and they are known, for getting players on free transfers. They have done that in recent years. They got Aaron Ramsey on a free transfer. Don't forget, from Arsenal, they got Emre Can on a free transfer, and they did get Adrian Rabiot on a free transfer. So maybe Matic, could leave the club next summer. Maybe we could actually, try and cash in for Nemanja Matic in January, because I did say, he is one of the problematic players at the football club, and I think, Nemanja Matic this season is infuriated with lack of game time, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because obviously Nemanja Matic has lost his place in the team, to Scott McTominay, where Matic, did make his first start, make his plays. Made his first start this season, in the 1-0 victory over Leicester. That was his first start this season. So he's infuriated with the lack of game time. He only started that particular game against Leicester, obviously, due to the absence of Paul Pogba. But like I did say, I wouldn't play Matic on a regular basis anywhere, because he is one of the problematic players at Manchester United. He's too slow. He makes that midfield, of course, look totally imbalanced. And I did say the likes of Fred, McTominay, or Pereira, are much better solutions than Nemanja Matic. And Matic now is aging up. He is, I think, now 31 years of age. Obviously Matic was actually first choice last season, because our first choice midfield trio last season was actually Matic, Herrera, and Paul Pogba. But now I think due to Matic's inconsistency, I think he's been dropped regularly. But I think Nemanja Matic has actually praised Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That Solskjaer's got obviously a lot of faith in his youngsters, and I'll credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the aspect that he has got a lot of trustworthy in his young upcoming players. So maybe Matic does need to be moved on in January or next summer. But yeah, the club, did pay him around £40 million for him. But yeah, he's definitely, a player, that does need to leave Manchester United. But like I said, analysing Scott McTominay's performances, I think he's done really, really well for Manchester United this season. If in regards to him being a long-term solution for Man United, I have got element of concerns about that. But I think McTominay, has enjoyed a very, very good start to this season, and he deserves to keep his place in the team, reflecting on his impressive performances so far this season. He has been mainly playing alongside Paul Pogba in that midfield, as McTominay. But obviously at the weekend against Leicester, he did play alongside Nemanja Matic. But McTominay, is only very, very young, and he has got a lot of development in him. So I've been very, very impressed with his performances so far this season. Like I did say with Fred, I think he deserves more opportunities. Does Fred? We know that Fred came on in the 1-0 victory against Leicester in the second half. He came on for Nemanja Matic, and I thought Fred, did quite well, when he came on. So maybe, Fred, should get given more opportunities. Solskjaer did initially say, he expects to see better things from Fred this season. Obviously, Fred, we only got him last summer from Shakhtar Donetsk. The club paid around £50 million for his services, or was it just under £50 million? We know Fred hasn't performed to the same sort of level, as he did do at Shakhtar Donetsk, because analysing his performances at Shakhtar Donetsk, there was really, really good, but hasn't mainly replicated this at Man United. Fred never really got the chance under Jose Mourinho. I thought Fred did well towards the back end of last season, but I think he should get more, given more opportunities this season. He's a much better option than the Manu Matic, in my opinion. But overall, I've got a lot of element of concerns about that midfield anyway. We've got to address that midfield in January as well, because I think we need to get at least one midfielder in. I was infuriated, that we didn't, recommend a midfielder in, throughout the course of the summer, because that's obviously, one of the priority areas, where Manchester United do need to strengthen up. Don't forget, for the majority of the summer, was in search for right winger. So these still deficiencies in the squad, that do need to be addressed. But we definitely need to see further more investment in January. I'm happy, that we did recommend, 3 good players in, to Manchester United, throughout the course of the summer. We spent over £140 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and of course on Harry Maguire. And we have seen glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far. I think Daniel James has had a fantastic start to his Man United career. Don't get me wrong, I think he's still a prospect and he needs time to develop as Daniel James. But I think, he's settled in, really, really well. And I did say taking a huge step in his career, coming all the way from the Championship, to the Premier League. Don't forget, he is only 21 years of age, and obviously primarily plays off the left. Well, he's supposed to be more effective from that left-hand side, but he actually, can play on each flank. But Daniel James has scored 3 goals so far this season. Wan-Bissaka, quite a lot of people believe that, he's been one of our most consistent signings so far. And I think Wan-Bissaka has been absolutely fantastic. Again, he's only 21 years of age. Don't forget, he only made his senior debut back in February 2018. I think Wan-Bissaka, would have been infuriated in the aspect, that he couldn't, make his England senior debut due to that. He had to withdraw from the England squad, after he sustained a back injury. But I think he's had a fantastic start to his Man United career. He is predominantly a right back. Don't forget, he was primarily a right winger when he was younger, was Wan-Bissaka. But as he was developing, he got rotated as a right back. And in that aspect, he's comparable to Ashley Young, because actually, Ashley Young was primarily a right winger when he was a lot younger, but as he was developing, he got rotated as a right back. But like I said, Wan-Bissaka, I think he's got all the ingredients required, to become a huge success at Man United. And I think he'll never be a liability. I think, he will always be reliable, but his distribution's good. It shows that ability to play from the back. So yeah, I've been impressed with him. And with Harry Maguire, I've been very, very impressed with him. I think, he's addressed our defensive deficiencies. You can arguably say he was our best player in the 1-0 victory over Leicester. But yeah, I think they've all done well, so far. So I'm really, really happy, that we did address, some of the problematic areas, in the summer transfer window. We got that experienced centre-half in. We also got that right back in, but we didn't address all the problematic areas. And that's the infuriating thing about it. But I did say, it's only been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first summer as Manchester United. So obviously in that aspect, it was going to be hard for us, to address all the problematic areas and that. So you need maybe a couple more windows, to see who we can get in to the football club. But I did say, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League, obviously in that aspect it went against us of getting all the number 1 targets, that we did want to recommend in, because I did say, certain players at a certain calibre and level, would have had reservations about joining the football club. But I think, some of the players, we was in for throughout the course of the summer, or the majority of the players, we was in for throughout the course of the summer, who we didn't manage to get. Probably more than likely, we will reignite our interest in them in January, maybe some of them next summer. So there was a lot of players on our agenda, throughout the course of the summer. Don't forget, Bruno Fernandes, was one of our main priority targets, throughout the course of the summer. But obviously, we didn't get Bruno Fernandes, and I did say at the time, Bruno Fernandes, would have been the right solution for Manchester United. I think, he would have blended in that midfield alongside Paul Pogba fantastically well. But it's a shame that we didn't get him. But we could still go back in for him in January. Obviously, don't forget we inquired about getting Christian Eriksen, but don't forget, was only tentatively linked with Christian Eriksen. I think we went in for him towards the back end of the window. Obviously, don't forget we inquired about getting Dybala and Mandzukic. Obviously, they were 2 players on Man United's agenda. Obviously, we're seeing them 2 as a possible replacement for Romelu Lukaku. If we are to reignite our interest in Jadon Sancho, I probably believe, we'll go in for Jadon Sancho next summer. But yeah, so I think we'll reignite our interest in some of the players, definitely, in January. Obviously, recent reports have been coming out in regards to James Maddison from Leicester. Now, reportedly, Man United are considering making a move for, James Maddison in January, or we could actually, go in for James Maddison next summer. Don't forget, it reportedly said that Man United have, been interested in James Maddison since June. We was only tentatively into him throughout the course of the summer. We didn't identify him, as our number one priority target. James Maddison is primarily an attacking midfielder, but I think Brendan Rodgers has played him on the left quite a few times. I think he did well in the game at the weekend, did James Maddison, and he is, only 22 years of age. This is his second season now in the Premier League. Obviously, it was his debut season in the Premier League last season. Last season he was involved in 14 goals, created more chances than any other player. Leicester, I think, paid around £20 million for him from Norwich last summer, but I also believe City and Liverpool have been interested in the player, but he is only 22 years of age. Reportedly, if Man United have got any chances of getting James Maddison in January or next summer, I think we'll have to pay a substantial amount for him. So reportedly, Leicester, will demand a similar fee, to what they did do, for Harry Maguire. Because don't forget, we've already done business with Leicester this summer by getting the pursuit of Harry Maguire. But I think James Maddison, would be a fantastic replacement for Paul Pogba, because I still believe Paul Pogba's plans for the future, is to make a move to Real Madrid. I do believe there was quite a lot of teams monitoring James Maddison, when he was younger. Obviously, we do know that James Maddison began his career with Coventry. He graduated from their youth system and that. I think he also had a loan spell in Scotland with Aberdeen. But yeah, very, very good player. His tenacity is good. He works hard for the team. He's good at creating chances, as that got proven, last season. So I think he would be the right type of calibre player for Man United. But reportedly, it said a couple of days ago that we could have to pay in the excess of around £80 million to get him. Don't forget, Man United have got the financial power to meet that valuation, because we're a massive club. Obviously, we've got massive revenues, and obviously, we are known, for overpaying for players, and obviously, we spent big on players in the last 6 or 7 years. So James Maddison as well has got 4 years left on his current contract with Leicester, so possibly, he could be our next signing. But like I did say, it was good that we got back to winning ways, at the weekend, against Leicester. It was a 1-0 victory. Like I said, reflecting on the game, it wasn't a brilliant performance by Man United, and, Solskjaer, did admit, it wasn't a great game, but all that matters is, we did get the 3 points. Obviously, it was a Marcus Rashford penalty, in the 8th minute mark. That was enough, to give us 3 points. So, obviously, now it's our second win of the season, 5 games now into the season. Obviously, so far this season, we've won 2, we've drawn 2, and of course, we have lost 1. So, we haven't enjoyed a great start to the season, but it is still early days. But now, hopefully, we can go on a winning run. I'm hopeful that we can go on a winning run now, obviously, following this good result against Leicester, because we do need to get, quite a few wins behind us, if we want to keep our hopes up, for that top 4, because it's very imperative, that we do qualify for the Champions League this season. I know it was only 1-0, but I thought it was a good result, reflecting on the amount of injuries, we had as well. Obviously, we had quite a few imperative players out. Don't forget, Pogba was out with an ankle injury. Anthony Martial was out with a thigh injury. Luke Shaw's out with a hamstring injury. I think Luke Shaw's out for the next week or 2, if I'm right. Don't forget, Lingard was out with illness. So we had quite a few imperative players out. So reflecting on that, I thought, it was a really, really good result. And it was also good, that we did keep a clean sheet. We're not scoring enough goals. That seems to be something else that's a problem at Manchester United. We're not scoring enough goals. We've only scored 8 goals so far this season in 5 games, so that's not enough goals. And we do seem to be creating chances, but we did create chances last season. But last season, we only managed 53 goals in the Premier League last season. But we only managed, that's what we managed last season. But we were still creating chances. And for me, we just need to be more clinical in front of goal, because we just don't seem to have that clinical element. As Gavin Neville, was recently saying, obviously, he thinks Man United are on the right track under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He believes that, we are playing the right way, but we're just not being clinical enough in front of goal, and that's obviously, something, Manchester United do need to justify. But yeah, we haven't had a great start to the season. So, but games are coming up thick and fast. Obviously it's FC Astana this week in the Europa League. Then it's West Ham at the weekend. Then I think it's Rochdale in the Carabao Cup. Then I think it's Arsenal at home. So games are coming up thick and fast. Hopefully for the game against West Ham, I think it's on Sunday. Some more players will regain full fitness. So hopefully Pogba can play against West Ham. Hopefully Anthony Martial can play against West Ham. Hopefully Luke Shaw can be involved against West Ham, because actually Martial and Luke Shaw have missed the last two games with injury. So obviously in the game against Leicester, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had to make alterations, reflecting on the amount of injuries we currently have at the moment. But yeah, I think he'll probably rotate the squad against West Ham. May make alterations in the game this week against FC Astana. But like I did say at the start of the season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's expectations this season, probably will be to finish in that top four. And obviously, he's got to exceed these expectations. And I did say, analysing our squad, I do believe it's definitely good enough for a top four finish. I think initially our aspirations will be that top four in the next couple of seasons. Definitely, that's what I think our aspirations will be, because I just don't think we'll win the league or transfer league at least in the next 2 to 3 years. But I said with the dimension, the history of this football club anyway, we should be up there challenging and of course winning a silverware and that. And we've failed to do that in the last 6 or 7 years. But obviously we want to get back to winning silverware and that. And obviously this is something Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to bring back to the football club. He wants to bring that winning mentality back to the club. He wants to bring that fear factor back to the football club. But we know that fear factor hasn't been there since the Alex Ferguson era. But yeah, I want us to get back, to being a competitive elite level football club. And it's not that we've played particularly bad this season. I so far this season is what I've seen. Is replicating, what I saw last season, because last season was a huge disappointment. We finished 6th. Obviously, failed to qualify for the Champions League. And I did say, we can't enjoy a worse season this season than what we saw last season, because I think last season was the lowest we finished. Since the David Moyes era. Because under the David Moyes era, Man United, did finish 7th. But Solskjaer for me, does need more time to make further more investment, because you can still quite frankly say he's in the process still of rebuilding this Manchester United squad. Obviously he's still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad, because analysing the squad, the majority of the squad is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. And I think the board did assure at the start of the season that regardless of what happens this season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will stay at Manchester United for them at least this season, regardless, because obviously the board knew that they didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, throughout the course of the summer. So yeah, I think his job, should be safe for them at least this season. And I did say I hope Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure at Manchester United, works out anywhere, because like I did say, we haven't got the structure to keep sacking managers, and despite the fact that 3 managers have already been sacked, since the Alex Ferguson era. We've had different managers with different philosophies, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's our 4th manager, permanent manager, since the Alex Ferguson era. But like I love him a lot, Solskjaer. He was a club legend. He was a long-serving player for the football club. He served 11 years at Manchester United, and he flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance. He has element of concerns about the Solskjaer. Some of his tactics are questionable, and some of the blame obviously does stem from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And obviously he hasn't really got the experience as a manager to the highest level. That's another element of concern that also does concern. But I will back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer all the way. So we'll just have to see who he can basically get in January. That is the question. I do believe he will stick with the same transfer strategy of obviously he wants to continue, getting the pursuit of young homegrown players, because don't forget Solskjaer worked out his transfer strategy early on in the summer, and he did basically say, he wanted to sign a young homegrown players, which he did in that, so I'll credit him in that aspect. But I think he'll stick with the same transfer strategy. But like I said, I think despite the fact that a lot of players have left, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, obviously we saw Antonio Valencia leave at the end of last season after he served 10 years at Manchester United. Obviously, we saw Chris Smalling leave the football club on loan. He's gone on loan to Roma. Despite the fact Chris Smalling's left, though, we've still got six centre backs in the team. Obviously, we do know that Matty O'Darmian left the football club. Ander Herrera and Marian Fellaini both left the football club, and they were two long-serving players at Man United. Ander Herrera served 5 years at the club. Fellaini served 6 years at the club, and again, it was disappointing. that we didn't recruit a replacement for Ander Herrera and Marian Fellaini. But like I did say, it's bad business in that aspect. That we seem to overpay for players. And we let them go for next to nothing. Like we've done quite a few times this summer. We did it with Darmian. We did it with Ander Herrera. So we shouldn't be really doing that. Obviously Lukaku left the football club. I was happy, the money we generated from his departure, because we basically recouped the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago. So I was happy about that. Sanchez left the football club. Obviously a few goalkeepers have been loaned out, but despite the fact they've all left, I still believe now these problematic players at Manchester United that do need to be moved on in January and next summer. Like I said at the beginning of the video, Nemanja Matic is one of them players. I think Phil Jones is a problematic player at the football club. Jones has been at Manchester United now 9 years. Well, he's been here 8 years, sorry, but he's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. But obviously Phil Jones is, going to find game time very difficult. Obviously, especially with the arrival of Harry Maguire. And like I said, I think Jones needs to be moved on in January or next summer. Don't forget Jones, he signed a new long-term contract last season, so I believe Jones is under contract with the football club until 2023. But he's a player that needs to go. I think Marcus Rojo, he's another player that does need to be moved on maybe in January or next summer, because I think he's a problematic player at the football club, despite the fact that Marcus Rojo did play throughout pre-season. He did play throughout pre-season, did Marcus Rojo. Obviously, he hasn't made an appearance in the Premier League, this season, and obviously he hasn't really been first choice anywhere. Maybe if Wan-Bissaka, wouldn't have been fit enough, to play against Leicester, then maybe Rojo, would have got given the opportunity. Because don't forget, Rojo can play as a left back, he can play as a wing back, but he's actually primarily a centre half. Is Marcus Rojo, and he has just got under 2 years left on his contract, and obviously he was subjected to quite a bit of transfer speculation early on in the summer. Don't forget Everton inquired about getting Rojo on deadline day. Marcelo Monaco and AC Milan, also went in for Marcus Rojo. But obviously Solskjaer actually confirmed whilst the European transfer window was open. I think this was, prior to the Southampton game. Solskjaer, basically said, that Rojo, will definitely, be staying there with the football club. But Rojo sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player, and I think it's really taking its toll on him. Obviously, it's not to the same sort of extent as Eric Bailly's injuries and that, but he has still sustained quite a few injuries. So I think Rojo's a player that does need to be moved on by the football club, and I think and I think Eric Bailly, I think Manchester United could be open selling him in January or perhaps next summer. Not with his, not that he's not that he's a bad player out, because Bailly, when he has been fully fit, he's been a very consistent player for Manchester United, and he has got great potential, when he's fully fit. But I think reflecting on the amount of injuries he has sustained, I think it's really had a bad effect on his Manchester United career. So I think we would be open to selling him. Probably the club would look to recoup the initial £30 million, that we did pay for him from Villarreal back in 2016. I think Bailly now is into his 4th season as a Manchester United player. But in his 4th season as a Manchester United player. But like I said, he's still a very imperative player, is Eric Bailly. Obviously we do know that he's out with a knee injury. He obviously sustained this knee injury, throughout pre-season, did Eric Bailly. I think it was in the game, was it against Leeds or was it Tottenham, if I can remember rightly. But we do know he's a long-term absence. I think he's out until late December, or he's out until the new year. So yeah, so in that aspect, I think now that makes him surplus to requirements at the football club. So maybe we could consider, offloading him. I think Arsenal inquired about getting, Eric Bailly earlier on in the summer, but I think a lot of teams would have concerns about getting him, with the, record of injuries, that he's had. And I think, Ashley Young, this could be his last, or should be, should I say, his last season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, reflecting on his age, I may be wrong, but Young is now 34 years of age. I think he's 35 next year. To be fair to Young, I'll credit him in the aspect. I thought he did well against Leicester. Obviously, Young has played at left back in the last 2 games. Obviously, full in Luke Shaw's role, because obviously, Luke Shaw is absent. But like I said, obviously Young's played, obviously, with the injuries, we've had at them full-back positions. Don't forget, Diego Dalot's another full-back that's out with a groin problem. But Ashley Young's been a long-serving player at the football club. He's been here 8 years. This is now his 9th season, I think, as a Manchester United player. So Young's nearly been here a decade. And don't forget, the club gave Ashley Young a new 1-year extension last season. So I still believe, these definitely players, that do need to leave Man United. We have got quite a lot of aging up players in the squad. Like I said, we have got a lot of young players, that are developing and trying to improve. But like Matic was saying, he praises Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for the faith he's got in his young players, and he has got a lot of trustworthy in his young players as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And like I did say, we have got a lot of young players, but in regards to Mason Greenwood, when's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer going to give Mason Greenwood the chance? I thought Mason Greenwood, would have started the game against Leicester, because he recently said that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was becoming infuriated, with Rashford's recent performances. Rashford received a lot of criticism for the bad performance, he did put out against Southampton. I think his performance slightly improved against Leicester. I don't think he was brilliant, but obviously, he scored the goal from the penalty spot. Don't forget, Rashford missed a penalty earlier on in the season. I think that was actually in the 2-1 defeat to Crystal Palace. But despite that, he hasn't performed to the level as we want him to perform. I'd still say that Rashford is a long-term solution for Manchester United. But yeah, he stuck with Rashford at the weekend. I actually thought he would have gone with Mason Greenwood, because it did say that Solskjaer was considering giving Mason Greenwood more of a prominent role at the football club. And obviously Mason Greenwood is demanding more playing time at Manchester United. He has played this season. He has made 4 substitute appearances as Mason Greenwood, but he's yet to start a game from the start. Is Mason Greenwood, and I think if he seems he will be infuriated about this. If this does continue to persist. Mason Greenwood is only 17 years of age. Obviously he only made his full debut for the football club in the 2-0 home defeat to Cardiff at the end of last season, and he did really well for reserves last season. He scored 30 goals in 29 games. But yeah, Mason Greenwood has definitely got to get the chance. I think he should have get given the start against FC Astana, or should get given the start against West Ham, in my opinion. But yeah, he did really well throughout pre-season, did Mason Greenwood, but hasn't really been given the chances this season as he would have expected, to be quite honest with you. In regards to Chong, he played for the first time this season, against Leicester. Obviously, came on as a substitute for Juan Mata in the second half. Solskjaer did say, just like he did say in regards to Mason Greenwood, that he will be assured more first team opportunities this season. He reportedly said that Chon has got to work hard to gain these first team opportunities. We know that Chon is staying at the football club at least for this season, so he is committing his future with Manchester United, because don't forget he was subjected to some transfer speculation, was Chong. Don't forget PSV inquired about getting him on loan. Also his former club Feyenoord inquired about getting him on loan, but he wants to stay at Man United. Overall Chong, I think now he's into his 4th season as a Manchester United player. He only broke into the senior squad last season, making his Premier League debut against Southampton, obviously coming on in injury time. Obviously, made his competitive debut in the 2-0 win against Reading in the FA Cup last season, and he made his Champions League debut, I think, in the 3-1 win over PSG, did Chong. But yeah, he should get given more opportunities. Reportedly, it did say that, the other week that he was in discussions with the football club over a new contract, so this is what obviously, it reportedly said. In regards to Angel Gomez, now, Angel Gomez is another one of our midfield options, is he? I think he should be given the opportunity. Should Angel Gomez? I'm surprised he didn't play against Southampton. I'm surprised he didn't even play against Leicester. So when he's Angel Gomez, I'm going to get given the opportunity again. I think even he's a better solution than the Nemanja Matic in that midfield. So yeah, it did initially say that Angel Gomez was going to be a big part of the squad this season. Alex Tuanzebe, it was good to see him come on in the game against Leicester. He came on, I think, for Daniel James. I think it did initially say, he's going to be a big part of the squad this season, Alex Tuanzebe. Obviously, he's a centre-back, despite the fact, though, that, Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof are our first choice centre-backs. I still believe Alex Tuanzebe, will get, given quite a few opportunities this season. Obviously, we've got Fosu Mensah, he's another one of the young upcoming players, he's Fosu Mensah. Obviously, we know he can't play because, obviously, he's a long-term absence. Obviously, he's out with injury. I think it's a ligament damage, something like that he's got. I think he actually sustained this, whilst he was on loan with Fulham last season, Alex Tuanzebe, not Alex Tuanzebe, Fosu Mensah, sorry. But yeah, I don't know when he's going to recover from injury now. I'm not too sure, but I do believe, he is a long-term absence. That's what I believe. I do believe, he is a long-term absence. But yeah, like I said, these players, that have started, this season, really, really well, I think, before Anthony Martial, sustained his thigh injury, I think he's had a fantastic start to this season, as Anthony Martial, I think he's scored about 2 goals so far this season. He's obviously scored 50 goals for the club in all competitions, Anthony Martial, and obviously, this is Anthony Martial's, 5th season as a Manchester United player. And I think so far this season, before he sustained his injury, he's replicating, what he did in his 1st season with the club. Because don't forget, Anthony Martial, scored 17 goals in his 1st season at Man United. Obviously, this was back under the Louis van Gaal reign. When we got Martial as a 19-year-old, don't forget, we did pay around, was it £36 million for him from Monaco, potentially rising up to 57 or 58 million, based on goals and achievements. So we did pay a substantial amount for him, but I think his valuation has been worthy. And I think he's done really, really well so far this season. So I did say, when he recovers from his thigh injury and, he can avoid sustaining any more injuries and he can keep the consistency up, I do believe Martial can score from at least between 15 to 20 goals this season, maybe even more. He still hasn't quite emulated that level yet, but I think, if he keeps consistency up, eventually, he will get to that level where he does want to be, but he is only 23 years of age. Don't forget the football club, give Martial a 5-year deal back in January. So he's on that list of one of the most one of the highest paid players because he's on around 200 odd grand a week. I think now Anthony Martial, he's under contract with the football club until 2024. But so far this season, Martial and Rashford have both played in that number 9 role. Don't forget in the last 2 games, Rashford's fulfilled Martial's role because it confirmed at the start of the season that Anthony Martial has been given that number 9 shirt because he does seem to be more effective in that central position as Anthony Martial. He does seem to be more effective, as obviously that got proven throughout pre-season. But a lot of things have improved about his game, Obviously, he seems to now I think, his finishing aspects improved, definitely. I think he's getting more of them runs in behind. So, I have been really, really impressed with him. So, hopefully, he can be fully fit for the game against West Ham. My overarching view on Paul Pogba is that obviously it was a disappointment, that he couldn't play against Leicester. Obviously, Paul Pogba, withdrew from the France squad the other week. Obviously, after he sustained an ankle injury in the 1-1 draw with Southampton. But it's good news in the aspect, that we've convinced Paul Pogba, to remain at the football club at least until January. Like I did say earlier on in the video, that I still believe Paul Pogba's plans for the future, is to make a move to Real Madrid. But I think, he actually, should regain full fitness, for the game against West Ham, should Paul Pogba. I think analysing Paul Pogba's performances so far this season, I think he's done okay. Like I said, I don't think he's performed to the same sort of extent as how Daniel James, Martial, and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire, and that's performed. But I think he's done okay. I think his performance was a bit below against Southampton. Obviously, he missed a penalty against Wolves earlier on in the season. Obviously, reflecting on that penalty miss in that particular game, obviously, Paul Pogba was subjected to online racial abuse early on in the season, but I'll credit him in that aspect. I think, Paul Pogba handled that situation, quite well. Obviously, I think Paul Pogba could still leave the club in January, definitely. Obviously, we're, sticking to our valuation. I still think, want around £179 million for Paul Pogba in January, if we are willing to let him go. But, that's what Man United, wanted, earlier on in the summer, around that figure. That's what we wanted, if we was going to sell him. And obviously, obviously, Real Madrid were not willing to pay it. But, Zinedine Zidane, will be infuriated, that he didn't, land his number one priority target. Because obviously, Zinedine Zidane identified Paul Pogba as his number one priority target. Despite that, Real Madrid, spent a substantial amount this summer. They spent around £300 million on 5 players. They did sell some players, did Real Madrid. So obviously, they did generate some of the money back, but they'll be disappointed that they didn't get Paul Pogba. They also had Christian Eriksen on their agenda, but obviously, Paul Pogba, their preference, was Paul Pogba over Christian Eriksen, even though probably Christian Eriksen, would have been a cheaper solution. But definitely, I think Real Madrid, will reignite their interest in January without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah, we said wanted around £180 million earlier on in the summer. But I'm glad, Paul Pogba has stayed at the football club, and, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows deep down how much an imperative player he is. Obviously, there was talks about, Paul Pogba, making a return back to Turin earlier on in the summer, after he did have 4 good years at Juventus and that. But obviously, he didn't. His move to Juventus, didn't materialise. Obviously, I think Barcelona inquired about getting him in the summer. Don't forget, Paul Pogba's brother, I think, came out last week and said that Paul Pogba had spoken to Lionel Messi. And obviously, reports came out quite recently and said that he allegedly agreed move to PSG. So reportedly said he agreed around a £429,000 a week deal with PSG, but reportedly his move to PSG never materialised because of the Neymar side. Because there was reports circulating out of the media throughout the course of the summer, saying that Neymar could possibly make a return back to Barcelona. Obviously, we do know that Neymar is the most expensive player in the world. But if Paul Pogba is to leave for £179 million in January, then obviously, he would be the second most expensive player in world football. Obviously, I think he would be, just behind Neymar. But I think there's still a possibility, a chance, that we could renew Paul Pogba's contract at Manchester United. And if that is to happen, I think, Real Madrid, will actually, go in for Christian Eriksen. They'll look to get Christian Eriksen on a free transfer next summer if Paul Pogba is to renew his contract at Man United. Reports reflected out the other week saying that, Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, had actually, held negotiations with the football club over Paul Pogba's future and over the possibility of renewing his contract. Because obviously, Paul Pogba's got 2 years left on his current contract at Manchester United with an option to extend it by a further year, and he's on around 290 grand a week, so he's just on under 300 grand a week at the football club. But I think if Paul Pogba is to commit to a new long-term contract at Man United, obviously he'll demand an increase in his wages. I think it'll be a massive increase in his wages, because I think for him to sign a new contract, he'll probably definitely demand to be the highest paid player at the club. I think he's actually the highest paid player now. But I think he'll, an estimated guess, I think he'd demand in the region of around maybe 400 grand a week, maybe even £500,000 a week, to sign a new long-term contract with a football club, and that. This is what, I do believe. But yeah, and obviously, he recently said that Adidas, they had a big part to play in, Paul Pogba, remain at the football club, this season. Reportedly, Adidas, wanted Paul Pogba to stay at the football club, obviously, because they believe it's better for them commercially. This is what, they do believe. But Paul Pogba is in his 4th season as a Manchester United player, as you all know. 4th season now as a United player since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016. Obviously, Paul Pogba's won the Europa League and the League Cup with Manchester United. But obviously, he did confirm earlier on in the summer, that he wanted to leave Man United, so he will be infuriated himself. He did say he was seeking for a new challenge, and, he publicly admitted, that he did want to leave the football club, and obviously wanted to leave, to rejuvenate his career. But Paul Pogba's still got a hell of a lot of development in him. I think analysing his career so far, he's had a pretty decent career. He had a good, tenure, with Juventus and that. He performed really, really well. We know he hasn't replicated, mainly what he did with Juventus, so obviously, that's been a huge disappointment. But like I did say, the couple of main factor reasons why Paul Pogba still wants to leave the football club, because maybe he's frustrated with lack of competitiveness. Maybe he wants to be in Champions League football. Maybe he wants to be, playing amongst their better players, and he isn't getting this at Manchester United. So he still, I still believe, that he does want to leave the football club. Does Paul Pogba? But it hasn't only been this summer. He's been subject to a lot of transfer speculation. Obviously, reflecting back last summer, he was subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. Reflecting reflecting on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho. And I think, in that aspect, Paul probably got one of his best wishes, and he was relieved, when Jose Mourinho, got sacked from the football club. I think there was talks about him, making a return back to cheering last year. But the good news is we do know that Paul Pogba is staying. But the initial plan was, throughout the course of the summer, was to actually, keep Paul Pogba, which we did, and obviously, get two midfields in, that could replace Ander Herrera and Marion Fellaini. So it was initially in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plan, to build a side around Paul Pogba. But, Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, had been working on for the entirety of the summer, getting Paul Pogba's move to Real Madrid, completed. He actually said at the start of pre-season, that he was in the process of leaving the football club. So at that time, he actually, fueled more speculation. But yes, I'm glad, that he's remained with the football club, because if he had left this summer, there'd have been a lot more element of concerns about that midfield, than he is now. So I'm glad, we did convince him to remain at the football club. Maybe if we'd got Bruno Fernandes throughout the course of summer, we'd have got another midfielder, and then maybe we would have softened our stance, on Paul Pogba and that, and maybe we would have let him go. But I'm glad, we did convince him to remain at the football club anywhere. Very, very good news. Obviously, we've already given you the news, haven't we? In regards to David De Gea, good news has come out about David De Gea. It was last week. David De Gea has signed a new deal with Manchester United, and actually, it was last week. I think it was recently anyway. It was stemming from Duncan Castles, and he basically says, that David De Gea has signed a new deal with Manchester United. Duncan Castles, like I said, he tends to be reliable. The majority of the time, he seems to jump too early on certain stories. Like he did do, earlier on in the summer, in regards to Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, but he tends to be reliable, like I said, the majority of the time. He says that David De Gea signed a new deal. He has signed a 4-year contract, with an option of 5th year, which is very, very good. As far as I'm aware, I don't think it has been officially announced as yet. It did initially say it should be announced. Well, it should have been announced sometime over the weekend, or it should be announced sometime this week. I think he's set to earn a basic salary, David De Gea, of around 250 grand a week, potentially rising up to 350 grand a week, with the performance related clauses. So obviously, that figure, will make him the highest paid player at the football club. But it's good that David De Gea is going to sign a new deal, which will obviously end speculation, regarding his future, and he's committing his future with Manchester United, which is very, very good news. So David De Gea is staying at the football club. But there has been change of narratives on this situation with David De Gea, because obviously it was only the other week that I did say we was on the risk of losing David De Gea on a free transfer at the end of the season, because David De Gea's current deal was set to expire at the end of the season, and it did initially say that Juventus were in for him. Don't forget, Juventus were in for David De Gea. PSG were regarded as the favourites to get him earlier on in the summer. Obviously, Real Madrid have been long admirers of David De Gea. Real Madrid were actually on the brink of getting David De Gea back in 2015, but due to a fax machine, the deal never materialised. I'm surprised that David De Gea didn't make a return back to Spain. I thought he would have done, to be quite honest with you, because obviously, his relatives are in Spain. He's from Spain himself. Obviously, he began his footballing career in Spain. So I'm actually surprised, that he didn't go back to Spain. But it's good that he's showing loyalty, to the football club, despite the fact, we have been inconsistent so far this season. Mainly, we've been inconsistent in the last 6 or 7 years. But it's good that he's showing his loyalty, because he obviously, he loves the football club. Does David De Gea. He does love the football club. I think on his current deal at the moment, David De Gea is on around 200 grand a week. So he'll get a pay rise of around £50,000 if he's going to earn a basic salary of around 250 grand a week. But with bonuses involved, it does rise up to around 350 grand a week, according to recent reports. Solskjaer did initially say quite recently in regards to David De Gea, he's confident, that he will sign a new contract to the football club. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said anyway in his press conference prior to the Leicester game, like he does, anyway, I want David De Gea to stay. Obviously, we've analysed his performances over the year, and they've been mainly, very consistent. And, Solskjaer does believe that David De Gea is the best goalkeeper in the world. De Gea's been at the football club now 8 years. He's now into his 9th season at Manchester United. So he's actually nearly been at the club a decade as De Gea. Analysing it, I think he's had, 7.5 good years at the football club. So I'll admire him in that aspect. He's been a bit average in the last 5 or 6 months and that. But despite his bad run of performances, I still think, he's the best goalkeeper in the world. Is David De Gea. Obviously David De Gea has made 367 appearances, in all competitions for the football club. So he's not far from making 400 appearances for Manchester United. I think he's kept about 130 clean sheets in all competitions. That is, I think he's made just over 100 clean sheets, in the Premier League game alone. And he's 28 years of age, so David De Gea, has still got a lot of development in him. He has still got a lot of development in him, but yeah, he has been at the club since 2011. We paid just over £18 million for him from Atletico Madrid, and he has been here since the Alex Ferguson era. Don't forget De Gea's won the Smack Buzzer Player of the Year 4 times out of 5 seasons. Reflecting on his impressive performances. But, we've been in negotiations of getting David De Gea a new contract, for over a year especially, and actually, it was looking very imminent, throughout pre-season. At that point, he was going to be signing a new contract. He was actually at the beginning of pre-season, should I say. It did initially say, he was set to sign a 6-year contract with a football club, but obviously we do know that never materialised, because it initially said the contract was supposed to be announced, after we returned from pre-season. But yeah, I don't think, as I say now, I don't think it's been announced as yet, but it actually was looking very imminent at the start of the summer and early on in the summer that De Gea, was actually, going to be leaving the football club, because for large periods De Gea was looking for around 350 grand a week, and for large portions and that, Man United, were not willing to meet his £350,000 a week wage demands. But I'm really, really happy now that David De Gea, is staying at the football club. Very, very happy about that, because we have got a couple of backup goalkeepers. We've got Romero, that's our second choice goalkeeper. Obviously, he isn't reliable, enough, to come man number 1 goalkeeper. We've obviously, got Lee Grant, who's one of our backups, with injury. He's injured anyways, Lee Grant. I think we got him from Stoke last summer. And obviously, Dean Enton and Joe Pereira have both been loaned out. There was a couple of goalkeepers in our agenda, who could have replaced David De Gea. Obviously, there was Jan Blanc in our agenda from Atletico Madrid. There was also Jordan Pickford in our agenda, from Everton. So there was a couple of goalkeepers in our agenda, who could have, actually replaced him. But David De Gea at full value is worth £100 million. But I did say, we wouldn't have got £100 million for him anyway, despite his bad run of, obviously reflecting on his bad run of performances recently. Obviously, we've just under a year left on his current contract, so we wouldn't have got that anywhere. But like I did say, if he would have left, it would have been actually beneficial to cash in for him in January rather than let him, go on a free transfer at the end of the season. So we do know now know that David De Gea is staying at the football club. In regards, as he updated you earlier on, in regards to the new director of football at Manchester United, I updated you about this, didn't I, earlier on this week, in regards to the new director of football. Well, it was last week, sorry, now. Obviously, earlier on in the summer, Man United, were in search for a director of football, because I did say we needed to get a director of football in, because, we do need a structural change and that at the football club. There was quite a few names, quite a few candidate names linked with that director as well early on in the summer. Ed Woodward had spoken to the likes of Rio Ferdinand, Darren Fletcher, and Patrice Evra, regarding roles at the football club, because they're former Manchester United players. But yeah, obviously, we didn't get a director of football in early on in the summer, but reports reflected out last week, and that's saying that reportedly, and quite recently, that Ed Woodward has identified, Edwin van der Sar as his number 1 priority target, to become, Manchester United's new director of football. I think, Ed Woodward, seems to be, going on the experience of Edwin van der Sar, because he's got that experience and that. His work's done. I think he's satisfied with the work he's done at Ajax, because Edwin van der Sar's been the CEO at Ajax, since 2016. Obviously now I think he's in his 4th season at Ajax. He's Edwin van der Sar. Plus, he knows the traditions of the football club, because don't forget he served 6 years at Man United. When he was younger as a goalkeeper, he was here from 2005 to 2011. But yeah, and I think it would be reliable, Edwin van der Sar, to oversee our transfer business and that. So, I think we do need to get a director of football in. If you do ask me, that's what I think. Anyway. But like I did say, reflecting on the amount of money, that's been spent at the football club in the last 6 or 7 years, we should be in much more of a commanding position, than we're in now, but we're not. And hopefully, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can succeed as Manchester United manager. We do need to improve this season. We need to see improvements from last season. I haven't seen, like I said, much improvement so far this season. We also need to improve our home form, because our home form hasn't been good quite recently. We also need to improve our away form this season, because our away form's also been bad. And we need to improve our record against the top 6 sides this season, because our record against the top 6 sides, was actually, very, very poor last season. But like I said, a lot of money's been spent at the football club in the last 6 or 7 years. Over £140 million has been spent this summer under Solskjaer. Just under £400 million was spent under Jose Mourinho. He served 2.5 years in the football club, won the Europa League and League Cup under the Jose Mourinho and Moreira, but didn't work out under Mourinho, because obviously, it was part of bus football under Mourinho. He obviously, he had bad disputes with the board and had bad disputes with the top players. Obviously, the board didn't back the signings, that I wanted to recommend into the football club last summer, so it didn't work out under him. Just over £200 million was spent under Louis van Gaal. He brought a lot of players in, but I think the vast majority of players now that Louis van Gaal brought in have actually now left the football club, but there is still some of them here now. Martial's still here from the Van Gaal era, Luke Shaw's still here from the Van Gaal era. So there's still a couple of players here from Louis van Gaal and Moreira. And £67 million, was spent under David Moyes. He recommended Juan Mata and Marion Fellaini. We do know that Juan Mata's still here. So an estimated guess, we've spent nearly around £900 million, or something like that, in the last 6 or 7 years. If you want to take into account what was spent under Ferguson, we have spent way over £1 billion on players. And obviously, if you want to, include the wages as well, because we have got players on big, contracts and that, it's with a hell of a lot of money, has been invested into the football club. But it just, proves always spending big on players, getting them Glasgow players, doesn't always guarantee you success, and it has been proved. That's been proven with Manchester United in the last 6 or 7 years or so. But I said anyway, I don't like the way the football club has been run in the last 6 or 7 years. And yes, I don't like the way the football club's been running the last 6 or 7 years. But like I did say, Solskjaer, needs time. Like I said, I know the boards are a lot more ruthless now. If you go 5 or 6 games without a win, your manager is under pressure. But like I said, reflecting back under the Alex Ferguson era, don't forget, Ferguson, didn't win out in his first 4 seasons at Manchester United. Don't forget Alex Ferguson. We appointed him in 1985. Or was it 1986 from Aberdeen, and Ferguson didn't win out in his first 4 years, and he was on the verge of getting the sack, and he didn't. And look what he did, Alex Ferguson. It was unbelievable. We had 20 odd years of success under him. We had 20 odd years of success under Alex Ferguson and that. And I did initially say, regardless of who our manager is, no one's going to ever follow Alex Ferguson's legacy. We're never going to replicate, what we did under Alex Ferguson. So in that aspect, we have got to accept that. But like I did say, I hope it works out under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like I said, one of his most iconic moments as manager, obviously, was that miraculous comeback against PSG last season. That was absolutely fantastic. That obviously one of his most iconic moments as a player, obviously, was back in 1999. That's obviously one of the club's greatest achievement, which is obviously now over 2 decades ago. But yeah, like I said, I don't think we'll win the league for at least the next couple of years, because I'm analysing it at the moment, City strides ahead of us, Liverpool and that are strides ahead of us. But yeah, and like I did say, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was to be sacked by the football club, who would you recommend into Manchester United? That is the question. I don't think he'll be sacked this season anyway. If he was in mid-table or was fighting relegation, then I do definitely believe he would be. But maybe if we're not even competing for the top 4 by January, still, Man United will give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer time, to invest, to see who he can bring into the football club. But he'll look to bring at least 2 new players in January, will Solskjaer, because obviously he confirmed at the start of the summer, he wanted to bring at least 5 new additions to the squad. But I'm glad that we did get that summer clear out that we wanted. I'm just infuriated, that we didn't get all our number 1 priority targets. That's infuriating. But anyway, the main part of this video, was to give you the news in regards to Nemanja Matic. Now, recent reports have come out saying, obviously, he's infuriated, with the lack of game time he's getting this season. He's basically, lost his place in the team, to McTominay. Reportedly now, Juventus have entered the equation. They're interested in signing Nemanja Matic on a free transfer at the end of the season, because Nemanja Matic's contract
expires at the end of the season, but there is an option, to extend it by a further year. But I think, Nemanja Matic, if he, obviously, he'll probably want out of the football club anyway, obviously, reflecting on, the lack of game time, he's getting. And he's aging up now anyway, and I think he's too inconsistent. He's not good enough, to represent the football club, so I think, we do need to get rid of him. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribe, as always, and take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.